nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as is required by Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, with respect to the Home News Tribune to publish the same. This announcement must be entered into the minutes of this meeting. And for those attending today, please be aware that all board meetings are recorded via audio. Roll call, Maria.
Chairman Engel?
Here.
Commissioner Joe? Commissioner Katz?
Here.
Commissioner Moskowitz?
Here.
Commissioner Benjavenko?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Adoption of the minutes for the April meeting.
I move that we adopt both sets of minutes from April 15th.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, Maria.
Chairman Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Katz?
Yes.
Commissioner Moskowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Benjavenko?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Old business, none. New business, the administration report. Steve, you want to start?
Sure. It pretty much looks like the same as last month. We did finish up pretty much even building racks for the poll book room as well. And then we're just, but we are checking the poll book parts, and we actually did finish rearranging the poll book room. So now at this stage, we're literally just checking all the poll book parts inside the cases, transferring all the, can't see my glasses on, we're transferring all of the printers and putting them up with the poll books and having everything all together at once. So.
Any questions of Steve? Linda, do you want to do yours?
Sure. So all the poll worker lists were received. There's some minor changes. Woodbridge is the biggest one with Republicans. We're looking for about 30 Republicans. The staff is still trying to call people. The training, anybody who had an email with us, the poll workers are all notified of the training with the training link, whether they're new or existing. There's 2 different links for them to register for training. And I really needed to go over the calendar, so we came up with the dates for you guys. So in yellow is when you're required to be here. I put a little bit of information on the other dates just to kind of lead up to it, so I need to verify if those dates are okay, dates and times. The first date is May 29th. It will be 4:30 commissioner review of signatures and challenge ballot hearing. Normally we don't do it till election day, but it was spoken about doing it before election day, so you're not sitting around all day election day, challenging, looking at signatures and stuff.
So that would be
That's the first review.
that's when we're talking about,
Any questions of Linda?
Yes.
Scott's got that.
Scott is,
so you're talking about when it's 2 commissioners looking at the.
No, that's adjudication.
Okay.
We're talking about when we bring to you the whole for commissioners, the signatures, that you
Got
look
it.
up on the wall, and you look at the signatures.
Yeah.
And if they're having challenge ballots, because the review date is the May 28th for the public to come in and review ballots. If there's anything that they want to challenge, is brought to the
Right.
commissioners. That can be also brought to you on the 29th, instead of doing it just on election day.
Are any of these dates different from what you provided before?
I
Or you
didn't give
provide
you,
all?
yes, they are.
They are, so I have to.
Yes, I did
I
give you
don't
them.
have them.
Yeah. So the yellow highlighted is for the commissioners.
Okay.
Do you want to look at it? And-
No, that's.
we didn't have the 11th on there.
Well, I think that it's, so Linda, these would be as needed, right? So we do the first 2, we'll do election day, and then
Yeah.
the 11th would just be, I mean,
Tentative, if there's nothing, yeah.
or if there's only a handful,
Right.
whatever the case is. My only question is there a reason we have to start at 4:30? Would it be permissible for everyone if we started at 4? Just because,
Yeah, that would work. I have no problem. I'm
That should
okay.
be
I
fine.
can do 4.
So
Just
the
have to
29th at 4?
yeah, the 4:30 is moving to 4.
Okay,
The 5 of
Well, the
us.
4:30.
and all of them. So Wednesday, the 4th at 4?
What date's Linda?
The 29th, May 29th, that's the first day.
Yeah.
Then June 4th. And then election day was always 2 o'clock. Is that good for election day?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Okay, and then the 11th would be 4 p.m. I didn't put a date for the 17th.
What is the
I mean, it's
17th?
fine.
Is there a time?
For what?
The 17th?
Yeah, it will be 4 o'clock. I
At
didn't put
4
the time.
o'clock? 4 o'clock.
The 18th is tentative, and the 19th is tentative, but we can make it a 4 also. That's what you prefer.
Oh, I didn't have anything for the 19th, I guess. I remember last time I had a couple of times.
Thank you.
Before it would be 4 o'clock. Every
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Any questions, any further questions, Linda? Being none. Administrators report.
Thank you. Chairwoman, first, I just wanted to go straight for the good of the board and welcome Loretta Matthews, who is, as you remember, Kathy Goddard had retired as deputy clerk a couple of months ago, and Loretta Matthews has been promoted to the position of deputy clerk with the Board of Elections. So we welcome Loretta, and we know she'll do well in her new position. Again, I rely mostly on the written report, just, and again, highlighting that poll worker training will commence next week. I kind of pulled back the calendar of the training. Valerie had to make some adjustments based off the feedback from the Piscataway location. But just, overall, in terms of poll worker training, Linda and the poll worker coordinator team indicated that we don't have as many people needing poll worker training this cycle than we have in the past couple of years. Because again, it kind of coincided with the start of the poll book, so a lot of people were automatically retrained for that election. So it's only a couple of hundred people, and we've scheduled enough slots for new and existing poll workers to train twice that amount. So we should be fairly well with all the slots and training classes that we have. Again, we'll provide training all the way up until the Saturday before the election, evening, weekends. We'll have an open house, and Kathy just arrived, open house the Sunday before the election for poll workers that kind of want to just, they've already taken the training and want to come in and kind of review items. And again, we'll share that, the preliminary schedule was shared with the local chairs, but we'll share that in additional details with the local chairs and county chairs tomorrow or on Monday with more detail.
Okay, John, thank you. Any
No.
questions of the commission?
I noticed
The
we're
administrator?
back to the second most registered voters in the state.
Yeah,
We've been back and forth with Essex County for the last 10 to 15 years.
and the numbers are up. Good.
That's it.
Okay, any more questions? No? Commissioner comments? No? Public comments? Maria is first on the list.
Sharon Holman.
Sharon, you want to speak?
Just a second.
Yeah, it's just
I'll
Don't
wait.
too late, you're done.
I'll reserve for now. I want to see other people speak.
Whoever gets the podium first.
Who would like to speak? Kathy, do you want to have something?
I was waiting to see if you want to speak.
I'll speak.
Charles, okay.
Hello, Charlie Cradaville, New
Different.
Brunswick, New Brunswick today. I'm following up on my comments at the past few meetings about equalizing the districts, the election districts around the county. And I wanted to ask if there was any update on getting that to happen.
Go ahead.
Any update on that?
How many updates for Charlie?
No, just that, again, there's a workshop which was alluded to in the last meeting, and information provided to the commissioner, for Commissioner Rallo that came in asking a question regarding the redistricting. So, I mean, just in terms of information shared internally, nothing further than was discussed at the last meeting, but information was shared with the commissioner in terms of election information. Similar to what you had provided, but in a little bit more detail.
What we added was we're going to put this back in the calendar in August for the August meeting because we can't do this until next year anyway.
Fair enough. Well, I appreciate you looking into it and setting the beginning of the timeline for it. So I hope to see some action, and I again reiterate, happy to talk about it with anybody who wants. My phone number is 732-993-9697. It's on your sign-in sheet, and would be happy to discuss further with anybody who wants. So appreciate that. And just one other point I wanted to make, I think I've suggested this before, but I think it's high time that the county or somebody work to provide adequate public transit to this location. I know I brought it up before and folks didn't fully understand, why that's important, but I think for, everybody who might have a reason to come here, even if it's only once a year or every so often, it would make their lives more convenient, but also your workers. I know you have many workers who, take the job in a seasonal capacity or, short-term capacity. Not all of them have vehicles, and just even for the folks who've gotten accustomed to driving.
I think the county does.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
I know for like election day, you'll get a special shuttle, that type of
Yeah.
thing. But I do think, we need to have something more regular. And I think it would be a good thing for the staff, but also anybody else who has a reason to come here. And it's even more so a good thing to do now because the county has a health center on Kennedy Boulevard as well. So it's really, to maximize the use of those things, it makes perfect sense to have public transport. And I think that, I'd like to see the board, take this cause up and see if you can get the county or somebody to provide better transportation so that folks can get here easily without a car. I know it's a big county and, you can't connect to every single place, but it's good to at least have some connectivity where you don't need a car.
Charlie, have you
Yes.
contacted the county about this too, sent them a letter or something?
I've spoken to the commissioners about it, raised the issue. I know when they opened the health center, they didn't seem to have really thought through this piece of it, and I hope that I'll continue to put some pressure on and hopefully get them to step in, but I'm sure you could help too.
But added to that, have you asked for transportation for yourself? Because I do know that the county does provide that for young persons if they have to get to a job or a particular meeting, if the information comes quickly enough. So for us to put in, or for the county to put in a direct route that nobody's going to use, I look at it the reverse of you. I think it's, have you ever been refused a ride that you needed?
I've never asked the county to personally provide me
Well, I'm saying,
transportation
I would
for.
then suggest you speak with some seniors who might have received rides.
Yes, and so I did hear from John Carroll after I presented this that, yes, if you're a senior citizen, you can get on-demand, if you schedule it in advance, get a ride. But, I'm not there yet. I'm almost 40, so it'll be a while before I can use that service.
Right.
But that's all I got, so.
Okay. Any
Thank
other
you for
comments?
hearing me out.
Thanks, Charlie. Anybody else like to speak?
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis, East Brunswick. I think you guys might aware that the U.S. Attorney, New Jersey, Alina Hubbard, just created a task force on election integrity. He's working with DOJ and DHS, to safeguard the voter roll information. And the last time I was here, I was reporting that on April 7th, there's a joint task between New Jersey and New York. They identified about 396 individuals who appeared to be, recorded casting vote in both states. Okay, and they also identified about 81,839 individuals who's registered as active in both of New Jersey and New York. Okay, I think, so I'm really happy to see the U.S. Attorney create this task force, to try to hopefully eradicate it, the fraud. So I just, want to bring this one to the attention in case you miss it, and we'll try to find the best for the office. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments? Thank you. No?
Yes,
Commissioner
there
Katz?
is a multi-state organization called ERIC, and I'm not going to give you the abbreviation.
Don't.
Don't. And the states that are members exchange information or can exchange information. We haven't gotten into this yet because the motor vehicles computers are not really up to speed where they need to be. But if that gets done and states remain members or become members of it, you'll have a lot of things that will be able to show the duplicates of voter registrations in multiple states and areas, etc. But that's what we can do. The way the system as it is now otherwise is that the individual states do not know whether people are registered to vote in other states. So unless there's some cross-check on some of it. So I'll leave it at that. Right now, I've been promoting Eric since 2011 or 2010, shortly after it started, and that's it.
Okay, anybody else like to speak?
Hi, good day, everyone. I'm Sharon Huberman for Family. Two items. The first one is regarding the last election in November. As you know, we appeared before each and every one of you with various challenges. So I received the report of all of the individuals who voted in that election, and to my surprise, there were people from Caseby who casted their vote in our election. It was counted. So specifically, I want to go over those addresses again to make sure it's Caseby, but there is a manor, it's called Florida Manor in Caseby. It's literally across the street from Florida Grove Road. We've been having people from that section of town voting in our elections. So it has to be, that has to be addressed. I think the total that I pulled out from that little section was definitely more than 25 votes. I think it was more than that. That will impact future elections, especially when their voter turnout is a low turnout. Those 25 votes or more is going to swing either way. So that needs to be addressed. I know that we've addressed other areas regarding the Hope Lawn section that they were trying to vote in Perth Amboy. They came to Perth Amboy. We got wind of this because of the poll workers turning away certain people, but there's some that voted, and it appears on that vote list. So that needs to be addressed. The second one is regarding the provisional ballots. So prior to the changes of the setup for the poll clerks, there used to be a division of all of the wards and districts and a provisional ballot allocation to each of those ward and districts. They've done away with that. So now there's only one table with provisional ballots, and this is where I find it needs to be improved, because in the last election in the high school, we had a lot of people lining up, and they kind of rotate the people who will work at the provisional ballots. So what happened, they closed the election, and the person was still voting inside the machine. And when they came out, they're like, wait a minute, the provisional ballot box is closed, because they didn't communicate to each other that there was someone still voting. So we lost a provisional ballot of that person who was in the machine, because the person who was guarding the provisional ballots had closed it, not thinking that there was someone at the machines. So I would really appreciate the way that it was before, because the accountability factor, if a poll clerk goes to training and knows that they have to make sure that all the votes are processed and counted, and then we bring up the situation that this happened, and then the poll worker is still reassigned to work because we can't prove the accountability of it. And I think if each of the table had their own people manning the provisional ballots, we're not going to be looking at a total of 18 people. We would be only scrutinizing, this came from this ward section. The provisional ballot was spoiled because of the actions of those poll workers, and therefore it's only just to have a hearing to discuss it and whether or not those poll workers should continue, regardless of their party affiliation. The person who did this error was a Democrat, and nothing has happened regarding it, and I think that the framework of what it was before, with the provisional ballots per each table, it really enhances the accountability of it, and also they're aware of not closing the box or something needs to be done regarding it. Even if they had those little envelopes that they seal and then they go and they put it in the box, so it's like all centrally located, that's like another, before they used to have like these sealed big envelopes, they put it there and then we would drag in the envelopes, but if you guys have a box and each table has their envelope and the envelope goes centrally in the box in terms of transport, that's another solution. So I would just like to see accountability, because one vote here, two votes there, it will matter in certain areas where they do have close elections, and I wouldn't want any further individuals who took their time to vote and they were disenfranchised, because once the vote is spoiled, it's spoiled. There's nothing that can be done legally by the law or any other way, and it doesn't matter if they're Republican, Democrat, unaffiliated, they're still a voter. So those are the two areas that I hope will help promote
Sharon,
the
your time
integrity.
is up. You can come back again,
Okay, all right,
after everybody's spoken.
thank you.
I have a comment on this now.
Go ahead.
The, I think you're talking about Florida Grove Manor, which is on the Woodbridge side of Florida Grove Road. Can we, if we have people, can we check, that's in the first ward, second ward in Woodbridge, and I don't know what the districts are across the street, except it's probably the 6th ward. Can we check some of this to see if people have been placed in the wrong place? Because I know, I think the addresses for Florida Grove Manor are such and such Florida Grove Manor. Even if it's because it's
But I
apartment.
can't run it by Florida Grove Manor, I need an address, so I can just run a whole,
I think it's
Town
like
listing.
923 Florida Grove Manor or whatever,
I
because
put a GIS
it's
report.
an apartment complex.
They changed it.
And their address is such and such, which is their apartment number, Florida Grove Manor. They're not?
No, they're all put by the address of the apartment, Florida Grove Road. So it could be 1110.
Okay,
Florida
I'm not
Grove
sure,
Road.
but that, any of those large numbers, because there's about a dozen, I don't know how many buildings, there's a lot of buildings here.
So case B, I'm sorry,
Anybody else?
I just,
Commissioner Melton?
case B can vote, right?
No, case B is part of
Does
Woodbridge
not.
Township.
They voted
But she
in our
just said
general
case B, so I
election.
wanted to double check. Thank you.
And that's part of the movement.
Okay. Anybody else like to speak?
Hi, Kathy Abdansky from South Brunswick. Just a few points that I wanted to follow up on from the last time. You know, I'm big on reconciliation, so I wanted to talk about that. But it's interesting that you brought that up about the provisional box, because I just wanted to expand on something I was saying the last time. When I was a poll worker in June of, 2021, before the electronic poll books, we used to, at the 2-hour count, was not really for, and I don't know if this is what's being used for now, like, you know, for political people coming to see how many people voted at the polling location for their district. We actually, and I don't know if it was just special for my polling location, we would actually reconcile every 2 hours.
Yeah.
We would do it. I mean, and if there was a difference, we actually found out what it was, you know, like that. I worked with my Democratic poll worker. We worked well together, and we made notations of it. And the sheet was, you know, it had information on there where we could mark these things down. I don't know, because I haven't been a poll worker, but I don't feel that's being done anymore. I think now what's happening is that they just take the totals off the electronic poll books, and I know this is being a challenge, I get the information off the wall. And in trying to, you know, have checks and balances at every single level, and something like that, and have poll workers more aware of their surroundings, of the provisional ballots, of the poll books. I mean, we have changed the way this is being done now, because, and I understand why, it used to be much easier, because this machine was designated for District 25, and you just, okay, this many people, 25, bam, it reconciled. But now, because we wanted to have people have the option of not being held up, we have all the machines in a polling location for every single district. But this 2-hour count can still be done. And the way it can be done is just the sheet would have to be changed. So you can have it per district, all right, and have the total count. But then at the end, somebody go and, you know, could be a Democrat poll worker, it's not really hard, and go add up all the machine counts and see if it ties. Even if they can't reconcile it within a 2-hour period, it's noted that it's not reconciled. Also, the provisional ballots, that's what I was trying to say. I know you guys have been doing unbelievable work in retraining people for provisional ballots, but let's put them on the spot. Let's let them realize. So if you have the poll book and it says on there, I don't know, they issued 100 or 50 provisional ballots, to actually go over in that 2-hour account and see that sheet and say, is there 50 provisional ballots in that sheet? Making them more aware of the surroundings and the situations and these checks and balances will make the election, I think better. I mean, more, I don't want to use the word credible, I know you guys work really hard, but you see what I'm saying? That it makes them more aware, and we're trying to make these things much better. And piggybacking off of that, another thing is that the reconciliation. Now, I only can tell you what I did, and I know this is very difficult, and I know that we talked about this, Valerie and Tom, after the last board elections meeting. But the reconciliation, if that could be done at the polling location, it might adhere to something that I was doing for early voting. I only could do it for early voting and not election day, but I know you might have more reports and tools to do this. And I keep trying to say this, that if the ATV number is captured in the e-poll book, it's captured in there. And I know that you might have to go to the state and make recommendations for a change of report. I'm not sure what you have to do, but it's captured in there. So if you had, say, 1 to 1,000, I'm going to make the number up, you can run a report with the ATV slips from 1 to 1,000, okay? This is the polling location. You get the ES&S poll book logs. That's how I did it, ES&S poll book logs. Okay, this is how many at this particular location, bam, this is it, all right? There was 1,000 people voted on it, all right? So if 1,000 people voted on it, and the schedule that I'm using, which I will get to you, I will give it to you, it's posted on your website. I don't believe it's produced here, all right? I think it's produced from the state, but those were the things I was reconciling from, all right? If that matches, it's fine. If it doesn't match, you have the AT, you have the ENS poll book log, you have the numbers, you collect the ATV slips per the district. I know it might take time to put them in place, but you could reconcile. Why is this not balanced? Why? Why isn't, instead of just saying, you have to just count what's in front of us. It's a way of doing it. It's a way of making people, this is the reason why, instead of saying, okay, more people are checking in before that. And then also, it will give you an indication of what polling locations might be a problem, might have,
Your time is up.
All right.
You can come back.
Okay.
Any comment, any questions of Kathy?
I'm available.
Nobody? Okay. Anybody else like to speak?
Or come back up.
Would anybody like to come back up?
Hi, it's me again.
3 minutes,
Okay.
3
All right,
minutes.
so anyway, just bouncing over that. And I know I just threw a lot out, but I have no problem showing what I did, or, it really would be a way of doing reconciliation and tying everything in to the certified ballots. And also, the certification form that the commissioner signed and Nancy signs, I mean, the language actually is, and I think it was there, it's been there forever, and it kind of like says, and I'm not quoting it, it says that what you're signing is tying back to the poll books. Just look, actually it's not, because I asked the last time that, can you show me a schedule or something that, a report that will tie the certified ballot count, back to how many people came to vote. And you don't have this. And I see what you have. So I'm saying this would be that step. That would, you are signing off on this, that's that step. All right. The other thing I just want to say really, really quick, do we have enough of poll workers on both sides? Are we even? Do we have enough poll? What? You need more poll clerks. Okay. So is it possible? Are we allowed? I mean, I am chair, but are we allowed to get the information that maybe I would help, other people? I actually even called somebody in for it. I have a friend that is and this is bipartisan, a Democrat person that wants to work, and I said, do you need any Democrats for South Brunswick? But I'm looking, if you need any, poll workers, I'd like to help. All right, I'm going to say that. County, I keep saying this with the county billboard. Drives me crazy. I pass by South Brunswick, this billboard. They put all this local stuff up there about jazz club, about this. I see, go down further down the road, it's Mercer County, I live very close to it. They have a big billboard, stop there, poll workers, $300, call this number. And I know, this, but, no, but does it really? Because, no, this is in South Brunswick. South Brunswick, all right, I mean, I'm sure there's other ones, but they're putting up their local stuff. I don't believe that it's an arrangement, a marriage between the company that has their billboard on their property, that they're able to put local stuff on there. Why wouldn't we want to use that billboard to put on poll workers? I think it needs to be investigated. And, even if I don't care if I'm wrong, but what if I'm right? You have a sign up there that people are going to buy every single day to be a poll worker. I think it should, tell me who to call. I'll call somebody if you want me to call somebody. But I think it's utilized. And this is for plays in the high school, this is for plays in the park, for information about the municipal. I don't think South Brunswick is paying the people that have their billboard on their property for this information. All right, and
Your time is up.
that's it, I'm done.
Kathy, in regards to, you've got some people that are interested to work, I would suggest you give them Board of Elections phone number, or have them email Board of Elections that they want to work.
Well,
It was just referenced.
Can I-
earlier in
I
the meeting
do-
that
I
we need
do-
at least 30 poll clerks, Republican poll clerks in Woodbridge. Now,
what?
We need at least 30 Republican poll clerks in Woodbridge.
Okay, I was just trying to, because I will put out, I can speak, right? I can put out, I would put out a massive, email out or something like that, but I didn't want to do it if we're almost there and then have these people do it just to be on a wait list, because a lot of them might be new.
It's an names to me if you can.
Oh, okay. Because sometimes I do contact,
Party, yeah, any party.
yeah, okay, sometimes okay, that's fine,
Okay.
that's fine.
Just to follow up on the Florida Grove Manor, so I had other people run the list of all the registered voters in Caseby and also in Perth Amboy. And when you put up Florida Grove Manor, there was only 2 names registered under that address. And I go, wait a minute, let me go there and look at the buildings. So all of the buildings, each apartment has their own address. So if it's 1110, but their address is Florida Grove Road. The only distinction is that even though they have 08861, is that it's Caseby. So we had to ferret through a lot of those, but just to identify who are the people registered to vote from that side. Then cross-reference who actually voted, and very easily look at Caseby, because that was the one thing that was sticking out. There were a lot of voters who voted in our election. They should be voting in Woodbridge, not in the Perth Amboy November election. And lastly, I think it was brought up regarding with the poll workers. So last year, I had, maybe 2 years ago, I had contacted the state. The state does have a database of all the people who apply to be poll workers. At that time, they provided me a list of people, and what did I do? I picked up the phone and I called, and that's how we were able to fill a lot of spots in Perth Amboy. But last year, when we had some cancellations, I requested that list again from the state, and they said I have to get it from the county. So I submitted the Oprah request from the county, and I was rejected. They said, well, we need this list for us, and we cannot share it with you. But then the state sent me an email saying, well, they're supposed to send it to you. So that would be most helpful if that list is shared with the chair, so we can call the people, make sure that they are registered Republican, registered Democrat. The unaffiliated are assigned only in case of emergency, if we need a spot to be filled towards the end. But that was a great way of finding poll workers. And since I worked in finance on Wall Street and I did cold calling, it's like no problem for me to pick up the phone and call people and see if they're interested. But if that could be forwarded to the chairs, that would be extremely helpful. I don't know why wasn't my Oprah request was denied at that time. I thought it would have been good to have that list so I could make some phone calls, but regardless of that, we are all operating for the same function. regardless if you're Democrat or Republican, we want to have proper coverage, proper communication, very good skilled individuals who are there to have a nonpartisan impact on the elections. So having the opportunity to facilitate that, whether it's with the coordinators or, locally, it's like all hands on deck.
Time is up.
All right, thank you.
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Beth.
I'm assuming we get the list from the state every year and we call everybody?
We get the list, I send it to the team, the poll worker team here, and if there's anybody on the list for the towns, they forward it to the party chairs or the designees. Or sometimes we do the recruiting, we call them ourselves, so we do provide a
utilize
list.
the list that
If there's
come from the
anybody
state.
on the list from the town.
Okay.
And if there's per them by people that is not needed, and they're needed in Woodbridge, they
So
check.
we utilize what we get
Yeah,
from the
we
state?
do.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Any further questions? Anybody else like to speak?
Can I just say one thing? I came in late. I can just say it from here. There's only 100 people that need poll worker training? Did I hear that right when I came in?
No.
Oh, okay.
A couple hundred.
Okay. How many?
But it's not like close to 1,000, which was for like the general election. That's like maybe like Linda says there's 400.
Less than 400, Kathy.
Okay, I got what I said. That can't
399.
be.
That was in the minutes.
Okay. All right.
How long we got? I'm on camera.
3 minutes.
Yeah, no, just very quick follow-up. In terms of the poll worker training, is it much different from previous? I trained 2 years ago, so I just wondered, if I need to be retrained or anything like that.
It's good
You
for
might be
2
on the
years.
list, are you looking
Yeah.
at the poll?
No, I'm not. I get up to the challenger because I thought I'd rather let other people fill the spot to get the pay $300. I don't need the money, so that, but I like to refresh, understand what's going on because what happened was I've been doing the carrier. I was doing it as a carrier, and so I went one day prior to the township, bring the box, prepare for the poll opening, and I actually do the poll opening, and so I went through the whole process. That's why I'm kind of surprised to see Sharon talk about the people close the provision box prior to everybody, finish the poll location. I think that's more in terms of training issue than anything else.
Yeah.
Because I also, the person who closed the poll machine, bring the box to the township, kind of finish the day. I get paid $25 extra, by doing all that. So I kind of go through the whole iteration. Many of stuff can be easily, solved by, having a better training or people more aware of the situation. Because I thought we did pretty well, pretty smooth. And for the location who has multiple machines, they usually have just one provisioning box, right? The blue boxes. So, shouldn't have this kind of confusion, but c'est la vie, right? This is just thing happen. So I think that's why I'm asking the question, is there anything different in terms of poll worker training, from before, etc. So anything I need to be refresh and get update on that.
We always tweak it and, add things or go over things based off of feedback from previous elections. I mean, on the whole, it's been pretty consistent for the last 2 years. We've added, poll worker videos as part of it, more interactive. So, I mean, the structure, it's the same. The instructions are basically the same, but we do tweak it, based off of feedback from election to election.
Okay, in terms of the 2-hour tally thing, I think at least in the area I went to, we always ask people to post the two-hour tally thing in a very visible location, so anybody who, happened, they can go see it, not put it behind the, table or anything like that. So at least when I was doing the challenger, as a challenger, go through different poll locations, I ask people to do that. If I see something go behind, I would ask them to move. So that was what I did. So, okay, thank you.
Anybody else like to speak before we adjourn?
We have
Oh, Commissioner Beth.
the Sunday before the primary, we have an open house in terms of machines, et cetera. So that's, if someone wants to go and look, they can go there even if they don't need training.
We have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I'll say.
Second Wednesday.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Katz?
Yes.
Commissioner Moskowitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Benjamin?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Let me see.